Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/am I the asshole, where OP's cheating wife is acting nuts because he's not backing down from divorcing her. Let's begin. Our first story was posted by Reddit user AmItheA.
My wife and I have been together for 14 years. We have 2 children, an 11-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter. I work in finance, and my wife is an IT consultant. She usually has to go on a business trip every 3 or 4 months. Since it's the IT field, her team is filled with guys. I never cared much about it. Her company always pays for separate hotel rooms, and we usually check up on each other when we're away. About a week and a half ago, I was looking for a friend's contact to transfer into my phone. While I was searching, my wife got a text message from a woman named Lisa. She had never told me about Lisa, so I started reading the conversation. I didn't get 2 messages in before my heart exploded. It turns out Lisa was just an alias for one of her coworkers. They were sending graphic, intimate texts about what they were going to do to each other. I couldn't read more than a couple because it hurt so badly. I did my best to hold my composure and asked her later that night if there was something she wanted to tell me. She just played it off and said no. I remained as calm as I could and had the longest night trying to fall asleep. The next day, I told her we needed to talk. I said I was thinking of ending our marriage, that there was this beautiful woman named Lisa, and I wanted to do X, Y, and Z to her, quoting her conversation. She was confused at first, then realized I knew. Immediately, she started sobbing and went outside to cry. My children came over and asked what was going on, and I told them that Daddy was going away for a bit. I went upstairs, grabbed the essentials, and stayed at a friend's house. Emotionally, I was on fire, and I didn't want to get violent in front of my children or break anything. I drove away because I didn't know how much longer I could keep my composure. Since then, my wife has been frantically texting me. I told her that I didn't want to work things out. I wanted a divorce. I told my parents and her parents about the situation. Her parents urged me to try to work things out, but I said no. My parents, on the other hand, said they'd support me no matter what. About a week after I found out, my wife learned I was at my friend's house. She ended up driving to the house and started knocking on the door. My friend and I answered, and I told her she needed to leave. She forced her way inside, so I went to the guest room where I was staying and sat on my bed. She came in and started yelling in my face, begging me to talk to her. I sat there blankly and then asked her to leave. Eventually, she drove away, crying and yelling. After she got into the car, I taunted her. Later, I heard she'd gotten into a car accident. She totaled her car and now has spinal injuries and a broken arm. She's not paralyzed, but she has pain in her neck if she moves in certain ways. Since then, I moved back in temporarily to take care of things while she recovers, but I still plan to go through with the divorce. I've already consulted an attorney and started getting my finances in order. Now, everyone is telling me to forgive her, saying this is punishment enough. Even my parents are telling me to try to make things work, saying I'm letting pride keep me from fixing things. What really bugs me is that she's been going on these business trips for years with the same people, so it's highly unlikely that the time I caught her was the first and only time. I tried talking to her about it, but she's sticking with her story. Without any other evidence, I don't think I'll ever know, but I don't believe her words at all. My children have been asking what's going on, and I told them that's something they can ask their mom about. I don't want to be seen as the bad dad who walked out on his family, but I also don't want to create a negative impression of their mom. So I'll let her decide what story to tell them. As our relationship's regular, I know the advice is to go to counseling. However, from what I've heard, it's mainly a scam to keep you married at all costs. They sell a lot of overpriced anger management and stress relief tools and try to prolong the marriage no matter how messed up it is. So you agree to more sessions. I'd really like your take on this. What would you do in my situation? TLDR, my wife made plans to cheat on me during a business trip. I confronted her, and she admitted it. I left and planned to go straight to divorce.
OP, your kids are old enough to understand infidelity. They're not stupid, my man. Tell them the truth before she fills their head with her lies. You said you didn't want to leave a negative impression on them about their mother. Newsflash, OP, she will not be doing the same for you. She will do everything in her power to poison them against you. Remember, OP, you are not the bad father that left. You are the father who showed his children that infidelity and disrespect should never be tolerated. Look, man, the only other advice I have is to lawyer up and lawyer up good. Your wife sounds like a real piece of work. She might try to pull something in the divorce process. Install cameras and record every conversation. Our second story was posted by Reddit user Sweet Syrup.
My wife, 34, and I have been together for 8 years, 5 of them married. I thought we were the kind of couple that could tell each other any problem. I loved her deeply and always believed she felt the same way about me. Like many couples, we had our ups and downs, but I never thought it could lead to infidelity. 4 months ago, I started noticing changes in her behavior. She was more distant, always glued to her phone, and avoided our conversations. You know, the typical signs of a cheating person. Well, one day, I came across a message on her phone that confirmed what I feared most. She was seeing someone else. It was like a punch in the stomach. I felt anger, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. But instead of confronting her right away, I decided to wait. My main reason was to protect myself in a possible divorce. If I was going to face this situation, I wanted to have solid evidence. So I spent the next 2 months gathering messages, photos, and anything else I could use if things got legally difficult. During those 2 months, I pretended everything was normal while the pain piled up. I watched her act like everything was fine, and with each passing day, my feelings for her faded. The love I once felt was replaced by indifference. If anyone says that love for someone doesn't go away, well, it's not entirely true. When I finally gathered all the evidence, I confronted her. I showed her everything I knew, and although she tried to deny it at first, she finally admitted that she had been having an affair. She said it was a mistake, that she still loved me, and that she wanted to work things out. By now, I didn't feel anything. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't even get angry. I simply told her that it was okay that we could get a divorce, and that we could each move on with our lives. My lack of emotion baffled her. She said my indifference was cold and cruel, and that if I had truly loved her, I should have fought to save our marriage. Which was ironic coming from her. But the truth was that I did love her very much. Only after 2 months of living with the betrayal in silence, I just didn't care. Am I the asshole for becoming indifferent towards my wife after discovering her affair? Now for OP's first update. Wow. Honestly, I didn't expect the number of messages I've received in the last few hours. I apologize for not responding to the comments, but rest assured, I am reading them. My inbox is filled with hundreds of replies, and I'm truly surprised by the support and the number of people who took the time to share their experiences and opinions. At first, I felt overwhelmed reading so many stories from people who have gone through similar situations, some even worse. I never imagined that so many people could relate to what I'm going through. I guess it's eye-opening to see that infidelity is more common than I thought. And yes, there were also comments that made me question if I disconnected emotionally too quickly. But after reflecting, I believe I did what I needed to do to protect myself. Some people told me I should have tried to save the marriage, but the truth is, I don't think I could have. The betrayal felt like a wall that went up between us, and once I saw everything clearly, there was no way to go back to what we had. It's not that I don't want to love or be loved, it's just that the chapter with her is over for me. Does that make me cruel? I don't know, but it's my truth. One of the most impactful things was seeing how many people are stuck in relationships where trust has been broken and they don't know how to move forward. To everyone who asked how I'm doing it, I don't have a definitive answer. For me, it was a slow process, day by day, watching the love fade until it was just gone. There were also some messages from people in my wife's position, those who had made mistakes but genuinely wanted to make things right. It made me think, what would have happened if I had confronted her before my feelings faded? Maybe things would have turned out differently, but honestly, I don't think so. Once trust is broken like that, it's nearly impossible to go back to what it was. Anyway, I want to thank everyone who shared their words, whether they were supportive or critical. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm grateful for that. I'm processing all of this little by little, but if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe and look forward without the weight of what happened. Thanks again. Now for OP's second update. Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know, I'm the guy whose wife cheated on him with someone else, and he became indifferent. I'm doing this mini update because many of you asked me to give one, but I'm lazy today, so don't expect a long one. Well, for starters, the divorce is in progress. The notice was delivered to her at one of her friend's houses, since the house we live in is mine from my mother's side. Moving on to the divorce, she didn't take it well and called me to tell me that she would contest it, that we weren't getting a divorce. I didn't say anything. I just hung up because it bothered me to hear her voice at that moment. I read comments that say indifference is a way to protect yourself from strong emotions, and they were right. After a couple of days, I started thinking about the time invested in my marriage, and I really got angry. For her, 8 years of relationship was nothing to open her legs to another jerk. For those curious, her lover is someone older, maybe 40 or 47, and he has a wife and kid. I don't care if the idiot has a heart attack or something. My soon-to-be ex and that guy are just trash that came out of the same landfill. Sorry, I was getting angry, so I took some time to calm down. Back to my soon-to-be ex, I really don't care if she decides to contest the divorce. She's just making things harder for herself since all of our assets are separate, including the house where I live. For the moment, that's all I can share with you. Thanks for your advice. And to all of you who commented that I should work things out with her, screw you. You don't decide for others, you just show that you have problems. I'd rather divorce 1,000 times than stay with a traitor with no morals.
Hell yeah, OP. You are absolutely 100% correct. Those who are telling you to stay are either cheaters themselves or spineless cowards. You did the right thing, man. No one should ever stay in a relationship with trash people. I'll be looking out for your final update after the divorce.